On a warm summer day in 2009, an entire youth soccer team celebrated a championship victory, becoming hometown heroes overnight. But by morning, every single one of them had mysteriously vanished without a trace. 12 years of silence haunted their small town until a construction crew unearthed a buried box in an abandoned lot containing jerseys worn by the missing boys. What really happened that night? Who buried their uniforms, and why now? In the summer of 2009, the sun rose gently over the rooftops of Goslar, casting a warm golden glow on the quaint streets and medieval houses. Nestled in the heart of Germany, Goslar was a postcard-perfect town where life seemed untouched by the rush of modernity. Cobblestone streets wound lazily around charming shops and cafes, and the distant hills were draped with lush forests. It was the kind of town where everyone knew each other's names and stories, where children could play freely without worry, and where traditions were cherished as dearly as family heirlooms. But this particular morning was different. It buzzed with excitement and anticipation because today was the day of the Regional Youth Football Championship. The whole town was talking about it, from bakery lines to church pews. Goslar had never won a title, and now their beloved team, the Orange Wolves, was closer than ever to making history. At the center of this excitement were 11 boys, each wearing their bright orange jerseys with pride. Lucas Muller, the charismatic captain, was tall for his age, his eyes sparkling with confidence and dreams of victory. His laughter could fill a room, and his friends often said that just being around Lucas made everything feel possible. Timo Newman was the smallest in the group, his curly hair bouncing as he eagerly discussed game tactics. He had an old silver whistle around his neck, his grandfather's lucky charm that he never went without. Emil Berger was quiet and thoughtful, always sketching in his little notebook, capturing memories in drawings that spoke louder than words. Jonas Schaefer stood nervously, his fingers twitching as he scanned the growing crowd. Kai Richter, the jokester of the group, tried his best to ease Jonas' nerves with silly jokes and playful banter. Behind them stood Heinrich Bachmann, their beloved coach. Heinrich was tall, athletic, and charismatic, known for his friendly smile and encouraging words. The entire town adored him. Parents trusted him implicitly, seeing him as a mentor who guided their sons not just in football, but in life. He'd frequently gift the boys antique coins as tokens of luck, which they'd clutch nervously before each match, believing in the magic they represented. On the sidelines stood Klaus Vogler, the stadium's caretaker. Quiet, reserved, and somewhat mysterious, Klaus kept mostly to himself, always watching the game silently from the shadows. Some townspeople thought him eccentric, a quiet loner, though others simply saw a man who preferred solitude. Nobody knew much about him, except that he once had been a sailor before tragedy led him to settle in Goslar. As the referee blew the starting whistle, cheers erupted from the packed stands. Parents hugged one another, their hearts pounding with anxiety and hope. Lucas led his teammates onto the field, exchanging determined glances. For these boys, the world was condensed into this single match. Nothing else mattered but friendship, teamwork, and victory. The game was intense and evenly matched, emotions rising and falling with every pass and tackle. With just minutes left, Lucas expertly maneuvered the ball downfield, passing it smoothly to Timo. Timo, small but lightning quick, dodged past defenders, heart pounding, and struck the ball with determination. Silence fell as the ball soared, spinning slowly. Then thunderous cheers exploded when it hit the net. Goslar had won. Tears of joy streamed down faces. Families embraced, screaming with pride. The boys ran across the field, faces beaming. They hugged Coach Bachmann, lifted Lucas onto their shoulders, and raised their trophy high, sunlight dancing off its golden surface. In that moment, nothing else mattered but sheer joy and triumph. After the match, celebrations spilled onto the streets. Ice cream stands handed out cones free of charge. Shopkeepers clapped enthusiastically, and laughter filled every corner of town. Families prepared for an evening of festivities, promising the boys pizzas and sweets in the central square. Parents lingered, chatting excitedly, while their children played tag in the fading daylight. But gradually, laughter gave way to whispers of confusion and concern. Parents began calling their children's names, their voices tightening as silence was their only reply. "Has anyone seen Lucas?" Lucas' mother asked, her voice strained and growing anxious. "And Timo?" Another mother echoed, eyes scanning desperately. One by one, the realization spread through the crowd. The boys were gone. Panic crept in slowly at first, then took over completely. Police were called. Flashlights pierced the twilight, and volunteers searched frantically. The stadium lights turned back on, illuminating empty fields. Coach Bachmann appeared devastated, calling the boys' names into the darkness. Klaus Vogler quietly watched from the shadows, eyes unreadable. The night deepened, but no answers came. Officers questioned everyone, parents, townspeople, Coach Bachmann, even Klaus Vogler, but no one had seen or heard anything suspicious. No clues were found, no footprints, no signs of struggle, nothing but unsettling silence. Goslar, earlier filled with joy, now felt hollow, consumed by dread. Days turned into weeks, then months. Investigations went nowhere. Speculations and whispers circulated, some blaming Klaus, others suggesting the boys might have run away. Coach Bachmann tirelessly comforted families, offering hope. Even as their spirits broke under uncertainty, the town eventually grew quiet. Again, carrying its grief silently, like an unspoken burden. Each family dealt with loss differently. Some moved away, others isolated themselves behind drawn curtains. The stadium fell into disrepair, abandoned, a haunting monument to an unresolved tragedy. Klaus Vogler vanished shortly afterward, fueling rumors, but no proof ever surfaced. Heinrich Bachmann continued coaching, though he never spoke publicly about that day again. Years passed quietly, and Goslar healed superficially, but beneath the surface, pain lingered. The boy's disappearance became part of the town's lore, a dark chapter discussed in hushed voices, as if loud words might reopen wounds too deep to bear. Then, 12 years later, in 2021, Goslar began renovating the stadium grounds to build a new community recreation center. Construction workers tore through earth untouched for years, equipment rumbling through weeds and debris. As an excavator dug deeper, it suddenly hit something unexpected, a cardboard box buried beneath layers of soil and memories. Carefully, workers opened the box. Inside lay several torn, dirt-covered orange jerseys, the familiar emblem of the Orange Wolves, faint but unmistakable. Shock rippled through the gathered crowd. Old wounds split open anew, memories flooding back with painful clarity. Someone called the police. Families arrived quickly, recognizing instantly the jerseys their boys had proudly worn the day they disappeared. Standing at the edge of the disturbed earth, the townspeople stared, speechless, haunted by countless unanswered questions. Where had these jerseys come from? Who buried them, and why here after all this time? Far away from the murmuring crowd stood a woman silently observing the scene. Sophia Hertz had arrived quietly in Goslar earlier that morning, having been called urgently by the authorities to help reopen the cold case. She watched carefully, noting every reaction, every detail, knowing well the heavy burden of this town's pain. She gripped her notebook tightly, sketches of intricate puzzles etched into its pages, a personal habit to calm her restless mind. Taking a deep breath, Sophia stepped forward, determined to finally uncover the truth. As the townspeople parted respectfully, allowing her through, Sophia's eyes fell upon the jerseys once more, now illuminated starkly under police lights. She felt a familiar tightening in her chest, the memory of her own brother's disappearance still fresh, even decades later. Looking around, Sophia noticed older faces etched with grief and younger faces marked by curiosity. This wasn't just a cold case to solve. It was a story that needed an ending. She knelt down, carefully inspecting the jerseys, noticing faint, strange markings stitched carefully onto the inner labels. Her heartbeat quickened. This wasn't random. These symbols meant something. The summer sky above Goslar darkened slowly, shadows stretching across the quiet town. The silence was deafening, but Sophia knew the first thread of a long-hidden truth had finally appeared. The discovery of the orange jerseys shook Goslar to its core, breaking through the fragile veil of normalcy that had taken years to establish. Within mere hours, news spread throughout the small, tight-knit community, reopening emotional wounds that had never fully healed. Families who had managed to push the tragedy into distant corners of their minds found themselves abruptly thrust back into those dark days. Parents who had once held each other, comforting each other through tears, now met again in silent shock, staring blankly at televisions and computer screens where reporters described the shocking find. All around Goslar, grief manifested in different ways. Some retreated into silence, isolating themselves once again behind drawn curtains. Others, like Lucas Muller's mother, poured into the streets, desperately hoping that these jerseys could finally bring them the closure they had craved for over a decade. Lucas' father, usually a quiet and reserved man, could not hide his trembling hands as he held his son's faded photograph close to his chest. Memories flooded back with painful intensity, the joyful shouts, playful laughter, and innocent excitement from that unforgettable day in 2009. Amidst the turmoil, Sophia Hertz remained focused. Sophia, a renowned investigator with an impressive record of solving cold cases, had quickly become a quiet yet compelling presence in the unfolding drama. At 39 years old, Sophia was striking, not due to physical beauty, but because of an intensity that radiated from her quiet gaze. Her sharp gray eyes seemed to absorb every detail around her, and beneath her controlled exterior lay a profound emotional depth shaped by personal loss. Sophia had lost her younger brother, Felix, at the age of 9, under circumstances disturbingly similar to the Goslar case. Felix had disappeared one afternoon in Hamburg while Sophia, just 15, was watching over him at the park. His disappearance haunted Sophia deeply, propelling her into a career dedicated to finding missing children. Every case was personal for her, but none had felt as intensely familiar as this one dot in her modest hotel room near Goslar's Central Square. Sophia sat late into the night, meticulously examining the newly recovered jerseys. Wearing white latex gloves, she handled each piece with extreme care, her fingers tracing carefully over every thread and seam. Something drew her attention. A series of tiny markings stitched discreetly onto the inner labels, barely noticeable to the untrained eye. Taking out a small magnifying glass, Sophia leaned in closely. The markings were clearly deliberate, symbols resembling old maritime codes, ancient navigation markings used by fishermen to denote secret locations along the waterways. Her heartbeat quickened as she realized the jerseys were more than just clothing. They were a deliberate message, a hidden clue that had waited 12 long years to resurface. Early the next morning, Sophia stood on Goslar's small harbor, the fresh breeze bringing the scent of water and old wooden piers. Her presence drew cautious glances from the local fishermen. With deliberate calmness, she approached the men as they prepared their nets, speaking gently, gaining trust through sincerity rather than authority. One elderly fisherman, Otto Schneider, sat quietly repairing his nets. His gnarled hands moved deftly, his clear blue eyes hinting at the depth of experience hidden behind his gentle manner. "Otto, I need your help," Sophia began softly, sitting beside him. Otto nodded quietly, his eyes on his work. "I thought someone would come, eventually," he said after a long pause. "That night still haunts me." Sophia's chest tightened slightly. "Please, tell me what you remember." Otto sighed deeply, pausing his task. His gaze drifted toward the calm water. It was late, too late for anyone to be leaving port. A small boat, almost hidden by the shadows, slipped quietly away from the docks. It had no lights. I almost didn't see it at all, but something felt wrong. Strange, because I know every boat here. But I'd never seen that one before. Can you describe it? He squinted, thinking deeply. An older boat. Small, like an old fishing trawler, painted dark, almost black. But there was something else. He hesitated. I heard voices, children's voices. I thought perhaps someone was playing a prank, but now... His voice trailed off, sorrow lingering in the air. "Did you tell the police?" Sophia asked carefully. "Yes," Otto said bitterly. "But they had their own ideas back then. They believed those kids had run away or that Klaus Vogler was involved." Number 1 listened seriously to an old fisherman's tale about a ghost boat. Otto's bitterness was palpable. Sophia thanked him gently, feeling an increasing urgency. She continued interviewing others, confirming Otto's story. Several had noticed the strange boat, yet each account had been dismissed years ago. As days passed, Sophia immersed herself deeper, poring over old maritime records, piecing together fragments of information from faded harbor logs and archival photographs. The markings from the jerseys aligned with old navigation symbols, tied to specific docking points along the river Oker. One night, working late at the small Goslar library, she uncovered an old map. Carefully unfolding the fragile parchment, Sophia traced her fingers along the inked lines, feeling a sense of clarity emerging. A faint marking matched exactly with one symbol on the jerseys. Her pulse quickened. She had found the exact route the boat must have taken that night. Following the route on the old map, she located an abandoned, forgotten pier in the marshy outskirts of Goslar, hidden from view and long dismissed from local maps. It would have been the perfect place to hide or abandon a boat discreetly. The realization surged through Sophia, her breath catching slightly. Hastily photocopying the map, she tucked it into her bag, knowing instinctively that this was the crucial lead she'd sought. Early the next morning, Sophia stood at the edge of the old road leading towards the abandoned pier. The overgrown path stretched ahead, lined with dense reeds swaying gently in the wind. Her heart beat steadily, calm yet resolute. The air felt charged, heavy with anticipation. Every step she took brought her closer, unraveling threads of the past. She walked slowly, carefully observing her surroundings. Broken planks lay scattered, weeds tangled around old boat hooks rusted by time. Ahead, partially obscured by marsh grass, the pier came into view, dilapidated, forgotten, a relic from another time. Sophia moved cautiously onto the creaking boards, each step whispering secrets beneath her feet. At the far end of the pier, hidden within shadows, she discovered a weather-beaten storage shed. The wooden door groaned softly as she pushed it open. Inside, amidst layers of dust and cobwebs, she found a stack of abandoned documents, shipping manifests and crew logs. Scanning rapidly, she saw the unmistakable handwriting of a familiar name, Klaus Vogler. Her breathing grew heavier, pulse racing as she realized the magnitude of her discovery. Klaus had documented everything meticulously, the times, dates, even a precise description of the abandoned vessel's location. Her eyes lingered on a simple line of notes scribbled hastily. Boat left at Old Harbor. Follow the symbols. Clutching the documents tightly, Sophia turned toward the water, where fog lifted slowly off the silent river. A sense of inevitability pulled her forward. Answers lay waiting for her somewhere ahead. Taking a deep breath, she stepped off the pier, heading decisively toward the exact location indicated in Vogler's notes. Each step through the thick grass and tangled marshland felt purposeful, like approaching destiny itself. As she finally reached the edge of the abandoned harbor, Sophia's heart tightened at the scene before her. Hidden among reeds and shadows, the hull of a small, battered boat was partially submerged. She recognized immediately the description Otto and others had given. The mysterious dark boat from that night 12 years ago. Silence pressed down around her, only broken by her careful footsteps approaching the vessel. Sophia hesitated briefly, feeling the weight of years and secrets bearing down upon her shoulders. Taking another steady breath, she moved closer, her determination overriding caution. She knew without doubt that this boat held the next critical piece of the puzzle, the painful secrets Goslar had long kept buried beneath its quiet surface. The early morning mist lingered over the waters of the River Ochre, a ghostly veil cloaking the remnants of the abandoned harbor. Sophia Hertz moved carefully along the muddy riverbank, each step sinking softly into the damp earth beneath her boots. Ahead, partially submerged among thick reeds, rested the dark hull of the mysterious boat, its silhouette blurred in the pale dawnlight. A chill ran down her spine, not from the cold, but from the overwhelming sense of stepping into a secret that had waited 12 silent years to be uncovered. As Sophia approached, the fog seemed to wrap tighter around her, as if trying to shield its secret from discovery. Her gloved hands brushed aside the damp vegetation, revealing the vessel clearly for the first time. It was small, battered by weather and neglect, paint peeling to expose bare, rotting wood beneath. Sophia drew closer, her heart beating a slow, deliberate rhythm as she studied every detail. A name had once adorned the stern, now faded beyond recognition. She carefully climbed aboard, wood creaking in protest beneath her weight. Inside the cabin, the air was thick with mildew and abandonment. She clicked on a flashlight, its beam slicing through cobwebs draped across the ceiling. The interior felt frozen in time, cracked benches, rusting navigational instruments, faded nautical maps curling at the edges. Yet something else quickly caught Sophia's attention tucked beneath. The navigation table lay a weathered metal box, the latch barely holding. With careful urgency, Sophia lifted it onto the table, heart quickening. She eased it open, revealing stacks of folded papers and small, childlike sketches. She gently unfolded a yellowed sheet, eyes widening at the sight of childish handwriting. That began shakily, "Dear Mom and Dad, .. Her breath caught sharply. These letters, preserved by chance and hidden from the world, had been penned by the missing boys themselves. She sat down slowly, pulse throbbing, fingers trembling slightly as she read their heartfelt words. Lucas Muller's letter spoke bravely about protecting the younger boys, how he missed his family terribly but refused to lose hope. Another letter, from small Timo, conveyed innocent optimism that they'd soon be found, and that his whistle still kept him brave at night. Emil's letters included delicate drawings, heartbreaking images of home, his family, their favorite places in Goslar. As Sophia read, emotion tightened her throat, tears gently clouding her vision. Flashbacks enveloped her, drawing her deeply into the boy's innocent world, 12 years earlier. Lucas guided the others as they huddled around candlelight, scribbling these letters secretly in the cabin, their faces etched with worry but determination. Emo quietly sketched memories from home, while Kai cracked quiet jokes to hide his own fear. Jonas sat silently beside Lucas, eyes wide with anxiety, watching as Timo clutched his whistle, his small frame trembling. "Don't worry," Lucas whispered gently. "Someone will find these one day, and they'll come for us." Sophia closed her eyes briefly, breathing deeply as their courage resonated profoundly within her. Gathering her resolve, she continued, searching the boat thoroughly. Among the clutter, she discovered another vital clue scratched crudely onto the cabin wall beneath layers of dust was a simple map, accompanied by faint words, "We left the island. Find us there." Her heartbeat surged. This confirmed what she suspected. The boys had been taken to an isolated island hidden within the river's maze-like pathways. The next step was clear. Sophia had to find Klaus Vogler, or whatever remained of his legacy, to piece together the fragments connecting him to this puzzle. He had vanished shortly after the boys, his involvement obscured by rumor and suspicion. That afternoon, Sophia stood before Vogler's old home on a quiet street near the stadium. The house sat abandoned, overgrown with vines, windows boarded up as if to hide shameful secrets from the world. After obtaining authorization, she stepped carefully inside, flashlight illuminating years of decay and neglect. Dust motes danced silently in the fading afternoon sunlight filtering through broken shutters. Navigating carefully through the clutter, she made her way to the basement, feeling intuitively drawn deeper. In a corner, obscured behind stacked boxes and discarded furniture, she found a hidden door. Heart pounding, she pushed it open, revealing a hidden room, clearly Klaus's private sanctuary. Walls were covered meticulously with maps, newspaper clippings, and photos. A chill of recognition surged through Sophia as she realized these walls chronicled the boys' disappearance in obsessive detail. Klaus hadn't been their captor. He'd been tracking someone else, someone he suspected from the start. Her eyes settled on a detailed, hand-drawn map of the River Ochre pinned at the center of the wall. It showed secret channels, hidden islands, and landmarks marked with precise accuracy. One small island stood out prominently, circled multiple times in red ink, labeled simply, "They took them here." Heart racing, Sophia leaned closer, analyzing Klaus's cryptic notes surrounding the island, descriptions of secret tunnels, old shelters, and evidence of activity. The island, unnamed and uncharted on official maps, was clearly the key. As she carefully removed the map, her eyes caught something else pinned slightly beneath it, a small, faded photograph. She gently lifted it free from the wall, holding it up into the soft glow of her flashlight. Her breath stopped momentarily. The image showed a younger Klaus Vogler standing stiffly, slightly uncomfortable, at a community event many years ago. Beside him, smiling warmly and confidently, stood Heinrich Bachmann, arm casually draped around Klaus's shoulder. Sophia stared, her pulse quickening. Bachmann, the charismatic and beloved coach whom everyone had trusted implicitly, appeared relaxed, friendly, yet something in Klaus's awkward stance now suggested discomfort, suspicion, perhaps even fear. The date on the back of the photograph placed the event just weeks before the boys' disappearance. Suddenly, many pieces clicked into place for Sophia. Bachmann's continued presence in Goslar after the tragedy, Klaus's obsessive documentation of his movements, and the secrecy surrounding Klaus's disappearance, all interconnected clearly now. Carefully placing the photograph into a secure plastic sleeve, Sophia moved slowly around the room, gathering every important document, each map and note, feeling the weight of revelations piling heavier in her hands. The oppressive silence of Klaus's hidden sanctuary seemed to whisper dark truths she now understood better than anyone else ever had. As evening descended gently over Goslar, Sophia returned briefly to her small hotel room, spreading the documents across the table. Each item represented a fragment of tragedy, a thread she had sworn to untangle. Carefully, methodically, she pieced together Klaus's notes, photographs, and drawings until a coherent story formed. Klaus had discovered Bachmann's dark intentions and desperately sought proof, risking everything. Hours passed unnoticed, the room growing darker around her. Only when street lamps cast soft amber glow through the window did Sophia realize how late it had become. Outside, Goslar lay quiet, innocent beneath the moonlight, unaware of the shadows gathering beneath its serene facade. She stood quietly, looking out the window, her mind turning restlessly. Bachmann had deceived them all, parents, police, the entire town. Yet she still lacked tangible evidence to confront him. She needed more, something irrefutable. Her gaze drifted back to the photo of Klaus and Bachmann together, smiling falsely for the camera. She studied it again, tracing their expressions, sensing hidden dynamics beneath the surface. Klaus, stiff and uneasy. Bachmann, confident and charismatic, a careful, dangerous mask. Feeling renewed determination, Sophia gathered her findings carefully into her bag. Tomorrow, she would visit the hidden island. Tonight, though, she would return once more to the old harbor, ensuring she missed nothing aboard that haunted boat. Leaving the hotel, Sophia stepped into Goslar's calm night air, moonlight reflecting gently off wet cobblestones. Her footsteps echoed softly through empty streets. Soon, she reached the riverbank again, the abandoned harbor ahead cloaked in shadow. She paused, observing quietly from the shadows as moonlight illuminated the partially submerged boat, its dark hull strangely ominous in the silvery glow. A sudden sound, a soft rustle of reeds, snapped her attention sharply to the shoreline. Her pulse quickened slightly. Eyes narrowed cautiously, Sophia stepped forward slowly, senses heightened. The shadows around her seemed to hold their breath, waiting silently as she moved once more into darkness, stepping carefully toward the truth that lay waiting, hidden beneath the cold waters of the River Ochre. Under the soft pre-dawn glow, Sophia Hertz stood resolutely at Goslar's quiet dock, the River Ochre's dark waters rippling softly at her feet. Her team, a small group of trusted investigators and police officers, quietly loaded essential equipment onto a motorized boat, their movements hushed yet purposeful. Sophia had spent the night meticulously planning their journey, poring over Klaus Vogler's maps, memorizing routes through hidden channels. A deep urgency tugged at her heart. Somewhere hidden in the river's labyrinth was a forgotten island holding Goslar's darkest secrets. She climbed aboard, nodding gravely to her team. The engine started softly, propelling them gently into the shadowy waters. Mist curled lazily over the river, cloaking their progress in a ghostly veil. Sophia's fingers tightened around the map, eyes focused sharply ahead, every sense alert. The boat moved quietly, gliding smoothly through winding waterways, dense foliage brushing gently against its sides, as if nature itself guarded the island from discovery. The silence felt oppressive, broken only by gentle splashes and muted whispers of directions. The fog thickened steadily, forcing Sophia to rely solely on Klaus's carefully drawn map. Doubt prickled at the edges of her mind, but determination quickly pushed it away. "Turn left here," she instructed quietly, voice steady despite mounting tension. The vessel veered slightly, navigating carefully between submerged roots and hidden stones. Finally, after a painstaking journey through narrow channels, the mist began to lift, revealing a small, densely wooded island emerging from the gloom. Heart pounding, Sophia stood, scanning the shoreline carefully, pulse quickening. They'd found it. Her team disembarked carefully, boots sinking slightly into damp earth as they stepped onto the silent island. Sophia moved forward cautiously, flashlight piercing shadows. Each crunching footstep seemed deafening, echoing softly against oppressive silence. The atmosphere felt thick with secrets, almost tangible in its intensity. Ahead, through dense underbrush, the skeletal frame of an old cabin emerged, rotting wood standing defiantly despite neglect. Sophia approached cautiously, heart hammering. She carefully pushed aside overgrown branches, the flashlight beam illuminating weather-beaten walls and a creaking, partially collapsed door. Inside, the air was heavy, charged with abandonment. Sophia moved slowly, flashlight illuminating faded. Drawings covering walls, childlike sketches depicting families, football games, Goslar's familiar landmarks. Her breath tightened painfully. Each drawing reflected desperate homesickness and longing. Carefully, her eyes settled on scattered objects beneath the drawings, small shoes, broken pencils, empty cans. Picking up a familiar silver whistle. Tarnished with age, Sophia felt her chest tighten sharply. This was Timo's treasured whistle. Tears blurred her vision briefly before she steadied herself. These precious items were unmistakable proof. The boys had lived here, hoping desperately for rescue. As her team methodically documented every detail, Sophia noticed something else etched faintly onto the floorboards, a crude, scratched arrow pointing toward the forest behind the cabin. Following it carefully, Sophia moved cautiously into dense woodland, flashlight guiding her steps. Gradually, rocky outcrops appeared, and she stopped sharply, heart racing an entrance. Partially hidden by foliage, led into a dark cave beneath. Tangled roots. Carefully, Sophia stepped inside, feeling an immediate chill envelop her. Dampness clung thickly to the walls, her flashlight illuminating narrow passages descending steeply underground. A sudden realization surged through her. This cave system was deliberately concealed, part of an elaborate escape route. Meanwhile, miles away in Goslar, news about the forgotten island rippled quickly through town, reigniting tension and suppressed anger among residents. Families confronted each other cautiously, whispers growing louder as speculation spread. Old suspicions about Klaus Vogler resurfaced bitterly, while some began questioning Coach Bachmann's continued silence. Fractures deepened among friends and neighbors. The community hovered on the edge of unraveling. Back inside the cavern, Sophia moved deeper, each cautious step descending further beneath the earth. Passages twisted unpredictably, branching off into a confusing maze. Her heartbeat quickened slightly, aware how easily she could lose her way here. Yet, driven by determination, she pressed forward. Finally, a faint glow ahead drew her closer. Emerging into a larger chamber, Sophia froze, astonished. Here, carefully arranged along the cave's walls, lay blankets, makeshift beds, crude cooking utensils, clear evidence that the boys had spent considerable time hiding below ground. Each item spoke vividly of desperate survival and quiet bravery. Her heart ached profoundly, picturing their courage amid such frightening darkness. Suddenly, a soft, measured voice startled her from behind. Finally, someone arrived. Sophia spun sharply, pulse racing, flashlight beam illuminating an elderly monk standing calmly within shadows. Clad in simple robes, his long white beard flowed gently downward, calm eyes gazing quietly at her with patient warmth. You've been waiting?" Sophia asked, heart still racing from surprise. "Yes," he replied simply, stepping slowly into the faint light. "I am Brother Otto. We have been waiting a long time." Sophia lowered her flashlight slightly, studying his gentle face carefully. "You hid them, didn't you? You protected those boys?" Otto nodded calmly, eyes reflecting deep sorrow and profound empathy. Yes, we sheltered them beneath our monastery, here in these tunnels. They were desperate, frightened. Klaus brought them first, quietly, bravely. But the danger remained. They had to be moved elsewhere, out of Goslor's reach. We helped them escape, gave them new identities and new lives far away. Danger? From whom? Sophia asked carefully, heart tightening. Otto paused thoughtfully. From powerful people. Who intended to harm them? People you may know, perhaps even trust. A cold sensation prickled Sophia's spine sharply. She remembered Klaus's obsessive notes and tense photo of him alongside Heinrich Bachmann, the coach Goslar once revered. Was Heinrich Bachmann involved? She asked, voice strained with growing dread. Otto's face darkened slightly, sorrowful yet firm. Yes, he planned to sell the boys, along with others. Klaus discovered it and risked everything to save them. He brought them here secretly, knowing our monastery's hidden history. But Klaus vanished afterward, likely silenced by those protecting Bachmann. Sophia felt sickened, the full horrifying scale becoming clear. Otto placed a gentle hand reassuringly on her shoulder. You have uncovered truths Goslar was not ready to face. But now, perhaps, justice can finally begin. Sophia breathed deeply, determination renewed. Can you prove all this? Otto nodded slowly. Documents are hidden safely at the monastery. Come, it is time Goslar learned the whole truth. They began moving carefully through winding passages toward an exit leading upward. Sophia's mind raced. This revelation could shatter Goslar's fragile peace forever. But it was necessary. The town deserved answers, and the families deserved closure. As Sophia emerged into faint daylight, she understood clearly what awaited her. Confronting Bachmann and dismantling the corrupt secrecy protecting him. She knew. The road ahead would be difficult, painful, yet it had become her duty to see it through. Turning, Sophia regarded Brother Otto gratefully. His quiet bravery, hidden for years beneath silence and shadows, filled her with immense respect and renewed strength. She had entered these tunnels, searching desperately for answers, and emerged, carrying Goslar's redemption firmly in her hands. The forgotten island had finally yielded its secrets, and now she must lead the town toward healing and justice, no matter the cost. Soft candlelight flickered gently against ancient stone walls, casting long shadows across Brother Otto's calm face as he guided Sophia through winding passageways beneath the monastery. Sophia's heart pounded steadily, anticipation tightening. Her chest, the secrets kept hidden within these ancient walls, could finally break the silence suffocating Goslar for over a decade. Brother Otto walked slowly, carrying a lantern that swung gently, illuminating passages carved centuries earlier. They descended deeper underground, away from daylight, into quiet solitude. After a long silence, Sophia finally spoke, her voice steady yet softly pleading. Why didn't you come forward earlier? Otto's gentle gaze met hers sadly. We debated it countless times, he began quietly. It was never an easy choice. We knew revealing the truth could endanger the boys further. Protecting them meant silence, even at the cost of justice. His eyes grew distant as memories surfaced. Those children arrived frightened, desperate, led by Klaus Vogler late at night through hidden tunnels beneath the island. Klaus trusted us, knew our monastery's secret history, how we'd sheltered refugees centuries ago. He begged us to protect them. As Otto spoke, Sophia could almost see it clearly. Flashback. 12 years earlier, a stormy night, lightning flashing violently. Klaus appeared at the monastery's hidden door, soaked from rain, eyes wild with fear, guiding Lucas, Timo, Emil, Kai, and Jonas inside. The monks quickly wrapped blankets around the trembling boys, whispering soothing reassurances, even as the children clung desperately to one another. Klaus told us the terrible truth, Otto continued softly. Coach Bachmann intended to sell them, to traffic them to buyers waiting abroad. He'd deceived everyone, masking cruelty with charm. Klaus risked everything, determined to thwart Bachmann's plans. Sophia listened quietly, sorrow weighing heavily. Otto's voice trembled faintly as he described their careful planning monks quietly creating new identities, forging documents, preparing safe passage abroad. Was there no other way? Sophia asked gently, sensing deep regret beneath Otto's words. Otto shook his head slowly. We agonized over it, prayed nightly for guidance. Justice demanded we expose Bachmann and his associates. But we knew the powerful men backing him would silence anyone threatening their profits. Protecting those innocent lives took precedence. His voice became firmer, resolute. We did everything possible to safeguard the boys. We secretly transported them one by one to trusted monasteries abroad. There, they started new lives, carefully hidden from harm. Where is Klaus now? Sophia asked softly. Pain flickered in Otto's eyes. We lost contact shortly after the boys' escape. I fear Heinrich's protectors silenced Klaus permanently. His courage cost him dearly. Sophia exhaled sharply, grief mixing deeply with admiration for Klaus's hidden heroism. They reached a heavy wooden door deep within the tunnels. Otto pushed it gently open, revealing a modest, candlelit archive filled with meticulous documents. Here, Otto said quietly, handing Sophia a thick folder. Her heart quickened, fingers trembling slightly as she opened it carefully. Inside were meticulously recorded transactions, financial documents clearly implicating Heinrich, Bachmann, and several influential Goslar officials in human trafficking operations, dating back years before the boys vanished. Anger surged powerfully through Sophia. Heinrich Bachmann's facade as Goslar's beloved coach shattered entirely now, exposing a manipulative criminal hiding behind charisma. Each document was damning, irrefutable evidence of horrifying betrayal. As Sophia studied the papers closely, Otto quietly offered more heartbreaking insights. Heinrich deceived everyone with charm, ensuring trust, grooming families carefully. The children loved him, admired him deeply. No one suspected his true intentions, not until Klaus uncovered the truth. Sophia's throat tightened painfully, recalling Bachmann's warm smile at games, his carefully woven lies misleading an entire community. Why Goslar? She asked softly, struggling to comprehend such calculated cruelty. Otto sighed deeply. Small towns rarely draw suspicion. He manipulated trust expertly. Influential allies protected him quietly, profiting significantly from trafficking. Their conversation paused briefly, heavy silence filling the archive. Sophia steadied herself, turning to Otto with renewed determination. You must testify, publicly reveal this. Goslar deserves to know everything. Otto nodded firmly. The truth must come forward, no matter the consequences. As Otto stepped aside, Sophia noticed another carefully stored box. Inside were small envelopes containing photographs and papers, each labeled meticulously with names and countries. Her breath quickened sharply. Otto spoke gently. These are the boys now grown, living safely under new identities. We've tracked them quietly over the years. Hands shaking slightly, Sophia carefully opened one envelope, revealing a recent photograph of Lukas Muller, now a young man, smiling warmly beside a woman and child. Emotion surged powerfully within her, tears stinging her eyes briefly before determination returned. Here lay the final missing piece, living proof that hope had endured. Despite everything, Otto handed Sophia the complete list carefully. These are their current locations, their new names. You can finally give their families closure." Sophia grasped the papers gently, heart hammering with relief and urgency. "Thank you," she whispered, voice thick with emotion. "You've risked everything." "Protecting them," Otto smiled sadly. "It was our duty. Now you carry this burden forward." Returning to Goslar, Sophia felt profoundly changed, burdened yet uplifted by her revelations beneath the monastery. That evening, alone in her hotel room, she studied the list again carefully, heart racing. The town lay quietly outside, innocent beneath the moonlight, unaware their lives would soon shatter completely, yet finally heal through painful truth. Taking a deep breath, Sophia dialed the first number on the list, pulse quickening slightly. Silence stretched anxiously as the phone rang once, twice, 3 times, each tone reverberating through her like a heartbeat. Finally, a gentle, curious voice answered cautiously. "Hello?" Heart pounding, Sophia spoke softly yet clearly. "Lucas Meller?" A brief pause, uncertain yet hopeful. "Who is this?" "My name is Sophia Hertz," she began gently. "I'm investigating events from Goslar 12 years ago." Silence stretched again, filled heavily with memories resurfacing. Lucas finally spoke softly, voice trembling faintly. "You've found us." After all these years, Sophia exhaled gently, emotion thickening her throat. "Yes, Lucas, Goslar knows nothing yet. But it's time. Time for truth, justice, and finally, healing." Quiet sobs echoed softly through the phone, relief mingled deeply with painful memories. Sophia waited patiently, respectfully allowing Lucas to compose himself. His voice steadied gradually, strength returning clearly. "Tell me everything," he said quietly, determinedly. "Everything you've learned. Goslar deserves the whole truth now." Sophia nodded slowly, feeling the profound weight of responsibility settling heavily yet purposefully upon her shoulders. The journey toward healing had begun at last, driven forward by hidden heroes, quiet courage, and a truth that could no longer remain buried. Sunlight bathed Goslar in a gentle golden glow, as if the town itself sensed the magnitude of the moment unfolding within its heart. The central square, decorated softly with flowers and delicate white banners, was filled with families who had carried silent grief for 12 years. Today, however, sorrow mingled profoundly with hope, anticipation rippling palpably through the gathered crowd. One by one, they arrived, the boys who'd vanished so mysteriously long ago, now grown men, stepping hesitantly into the square they had once called home. Lucas Muller led the group, his eyes glistening with unshed tears as he approached his parents. His mother rushed forward, enveloping him tightly, her quiet sobs echoing softly against the town's ancient stones. Lucas embraced her gently yet firmly, years of unspoken pain finally released in that heartfelt embrace. Nearby, Timo Newman stood nervously, smaller in stature even as an adult, clutching a silver whistle, now polished and shining. His elderly grandmother slowly approached, reaching out with trembling hands to touch his face gently, confirming he was truly real. Timo smiled warmly, whispering softly, "I never forgot you," as tears traced silently down her wrinkled cheeks. Emil Berger quietly reunited with his parents, presenting them gently with sketches he'd made over the years, drawings of Goslar, memories kept vividly alive despite painful distance. His mother smiled tearfully, holding the sketches close to her heart. Jonas Schaefer stood shyly, embraced tightly by siblings who had grown up hearing stories of the brother they'd never known. Kai Richter, ever cheerful, broke the tension by making a gentle joke, prompting laughter through tears, a bittersweet moment of reunion, forgiveness, and relief. Standing slightly apart, Sophia watched silently, deeply moved by scenes she'd worked tirelessly to make possible. Her heart, weighed down for years by personal and shared loss, now felt lighter, finally free to heal. She turned quietly, nodding respectfully to Brother Otto, who observed humbly from the edge of the crowd, eyes gentle yet weary, quietly acknowledging gratitude from families finally reunited through his hidden sacrifices. Over the following days, Sophia carefully listened to each man's emotional recounting of how they'd rebuilt lives abroad, growing up secretly in monasteries and later adopted by caring families across Europe and beyond. Lucas became a respected teacher in Switzerland, determined to protect other vulnerable children. Timo was now a social worker in Spain, supporting disadvantaged youths. Emil, a gifted illustrator in France, had channeled memories into deeply emotional artwork. Jonas was a psychologist in Austria, specializing in trauma, offering support shaped profoundly by his experiences. Kai became a lawyer in Italy, advocating passionately for justice and child protection laws. Yet beneath each man's accomplishments remained a quiet shadow, lingering trauma from childhood loss. Sophia recognized clearly the invisible yet profound scars each carried silently, transformed over years into quiet strength and profound empathy. As reunions filled Goslar's streets with quiet joy, Sophia and local authorities moved decisively against Heinrich Bachmann. Bachmann's arrest was dramatic yet satisfying, broadcast live to shocked townspeople. Officers escorted him firmly through Goslar's streets, head lowered in disgrace. At the courthouse, Bachmann broke finally under Sophia's relentless evidence, exposing a web of influential accomplices, including prominent Goslar officials who'd profited secretly for years. Each accomplice was swiftly arrested, shattering Goslar's illusion of innocence, yet finally cleansing the town of corruption and silence. At the trial, the now-grown players delivered powerful testimonies exposing Bachmann's manipulation. Lucas's words, "Your cruelty shaped our lives, but we refused to let your darkness define us," captured the mood. Bachmann and his powerful allies were swiftly convicted, finally giving the families the justice they had awaited for 12 years. Soon afterward, the town gathered at the monastery to honor Brother Otto and the monks, thanking them for their quiet courage in protecting the boys. Otto accepted the gratitude humbly, reminding everyone that the children's bravery had inspired him. Months later, Goslar reopened its renovated stadium as a memorial and child protection center. The 5 men unveiled the monument dedicated to their ordeal, symbolizing hope overcoming darkness. Sophia watched, feeling her own wounds begin to heal. As she left the ceremony, Sophia took a mysterious phone call. An anonymous voice claimed her long-lost brother Felix was alive and warned her to trust no one. Shocked yet resolute, Sophia prepared to face a new personal mystery, carrying forward the courage and resilience she had gained in Goslar.